Well guys, the time has come once again where I give you my 2-year ownership review on a car that I said I was only going to own for 1 season. This is my 1998 Lexus GS 400, a car that many of you very much enjoy, which I very much appreciate because I love this car as well, which is why I've kept it for, geez, this video is titled 2-year ownership review, but it's actually closer to 2.5 because this is now being filmed in March. So 2 years and 5 months I have owned this Lexus GS 400. I bought this in November of 2023 as a winter car, and a lot of people didn't really understand my reasoning behind that, and I guess I don't really understand my reasoning behind that either, but this was my winter car. I hit up Bridgestone, they sent me a set of Blizzaks, and this thing actually did really well in the winter despite it being rear-wheel drive and open diff. I never had a single problem driving this in winter, but the reason I kept it is because this thing was such a trooper and it never gave me a single problem through the entire season. So I thought, well, I'll hang on to it. I'll drive it again next season. So I kept it. I drove it again in winter of 2024. And then I was like, okay, I've had this now for over a year. It's time to get rid of it. But then my buddy Stu's car broke down and he needed something to drive for a little bit. So I said, hey, I've got this Lexus that I'm not really using. I only use it for winter. You can drive the GS 400. So then he drove it and put a few thousand miles on it as well. So the car has been around, it's been driven by many people, and now I think it's finally time to say goodbye to this thing, which is really sad. I have my reasons why I'm getting rid of it, and of course you guys will all have the chance to purchase it. You guys get first dibs because you've known the car for the same amount of time that I have. So stay tuned till the end. I'll have info in the description of how to contact me and things if you're interested in this car. But I thought today we'd just chat about what this has been like to own for the last 2.5 years. And we're gonna go for a little bit of a drive off to get some lunch. It's late in the day, it's 2:30, but I have not eaten lunch yet. So we're gonna go get a poke bowl. And well, if we're not finished discussing, we can discuss over lunch, I suppose. But this will just be a fun little drive to bid farewell to the GS 400, a car that made a pretty big difference on the channel, because when I posted this initially, I bought a Lexus GS 400 was the title of the first video on this. It got something like 300,000 views, which for the time, my little YouTube channel, this car helped it a lot. And I was thrilled that I made the decision to buy this from Copart. This had a little bit of front end damage, and keen-eyed viewers will notice that the hood and bumper don't perfectly match the rest of the car as they should. It's subtle, and it's actually pretty hard to see on camera, but this had some super minor front-end damage. We'll put some B-roll in of this coming off the truck and stuff from Copart. This was super easy to fix. I bought it in November. It was fixed by December casually. You know, we kind of worked on it as we had time, and it's just been fantastic since. For those of you that are unfamiliar with this car and all GS 400s in general, we'll go through the spec sheet here just to fill you in on what this is. Now, this is the 2nd generation Lexus GS, the 160, this one being the UZS 160 because it has the 1UZ 4-liter naturally aspirated V8 with 300 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. All of these had 5-speed automatic transmissions, and all of them were rear-wheel drive. This was back when the Lexus GS was still pretty simple, and I want to say this is the most appreciated generation, which I love. I've had 2 of these. I had a GS 300 in college, and it was a lovely car as well. But this was also sold overseas as the Aristo, and I think that's why people love these so much, because they see them built out in Japan as kind of these VIP cars that are lowered on big blocky wheels, and they're just great. But beyond kind of building it into a show car, they're great daily drivers too, and it's been lovely for me. One of the main reasons, as I pull out my classic Lexus key with the gold Lexus badge and pop my trunk, is the trunk size, which, okay, not the deepest in the world, but it's quite wide. I think Golf was in mind when Lexus engineered this in the 90s, because you could easily fit a set of golf clubs in here, probably even 2 sets. Not the deepest thing in the world, and you can see the wheel arches kind of intrude on this, but the trunk itself is quite large. In fact, I think I could fit a couple of me in here if I wanted to. And since this is a 90s Lexus, excuse my metal license plate frame, that needs to go over there. Since this is a 90s Lexus, we have a full-sized spare tire in here, which I don't know that that's ever been out. Maybe it has. It's a little bit dirty. But Lexus was big on their spare tires in the 90s, and they actually still are now. Granted, they don't give you a full-size spare these days. They just give you a space saver. But back then, they gave you the full thing. And also, Somewhere along the way, 98 Rich happened. I put this vanity plate on the car, which I just absolutely love. Of course, inspired by the whole '04 Rich fantasy that I have all the time of driving a Hummer H2 and a Lexus LS 430 Ultra Luxury, but at the time, this was just what I had. So 98 Rich it is, and I was born in 98, so the car is the same year as me, which I very much like. Additionally, and also we should talk about this while we're back here too, another thing that happened along the way, this was about a year into the ownership, in December of 24, I believe, I put this catback exhaust on the car from Megan, and it really opened up this 1UZ and made it just sound fantastic. And I actually have a dedicated video to this exhaust, which I'll have linked in the description, along with all of the other videos on this car if you want to go check those out. But this was super cheap. It was like a $600 exhaust, and it livened this thing up so much. And it was actually a needed modification, because the one issue that this car has is rust. This has lived in Michigan its whole life, and it's pretty rotten underneath, I'll be honest. I don't ever want to lie to you guys about a car, especially when you have the opportunity to purchase it. But the factory exhaust was just completely rotted. It had holes all in it. So it's now got the fresh exhaust, and it sounds very good, which you will hear in today's video. Now, there is the 1UZ, a legendary engine for many reasons. So legendary and so bulletproof that it's rated by the FAA to be in airplanes. It's like a turbocharged version of this that makes a whole bunch more power. But this engine, the bones of this engine, are rated to be in an airplane. That is just insane. I mean, that shows you the bulletproof reliability that Lexus was putting out in the 1990s. And this one's been kept up as well with a timing belt replacement. You always love to see that little sticker there on top of the engine cover. And honestly, as far as the engine bay goes, it's pretty clean. Shock towers and everything are all good. The rust did not get to them. But like I said, this hood has been replaced. That was off a silver car, so underneath it's silver, and then this front bumper as well. But as far as I know, all of the other body panels are original to this. The wheels are from a slightly newer GS 300 from the facelifted version, the early 2000s, but they are an OEM Lexus wheel. When I bought this, it had some terrible aftermarket wheels on it that I took off, and then I told you Bridgestone sent me these Blizzaks. So we are still running Blizzaks today, but it is March. It's still winter here in Michigan, so we will keep those on, and these will accompany the car as well. I don't have another set of wheels for this, as it's trusty old winter car here. But let's show you the back seat, which, I mean, look at this couch. You get into this GS, and the leather farts a little bit. You know, when you get into a car and it goes, that's how you know it's a quality item in the back seat. This leather is supple as well. Porsche charges you extra for this. Lexus gave it to you for free in 98. But if you're not wowed by the suppleness of the leather, you may be wowed by your ability to smoke in each individual rear seat. You've got two ashtrays back here, which I suppose was made for VIPs being driven around in these, or just people that enjoy smoking casually, I suppose. Now, you really will only be using these two outboard seats, because the drivetrain hump in the middle is one of the biggest I've ever seen, and really you just want to have this cozy armrest down anyway with your cup holders popped out, which still work, of course. And that's really the way to use this car as a 4-passenger machine. But in a pinch, you could still use this middle seat if you wanted to. We've got two seat back pockets. We've got vents back here. And, you know, it's not the biggest back seat in the world. Cars and sedans especially have since gotten larger. But for the time, for 1998, this was the thing, man. This would have competed with the E39 BMW 5 Series and whatever the Mercedes E-Class was called at the time. And the only thing the 540i had on this was the fact that you could get that with a manual gearbox. These were all automatic, which is a bit of a shame, but Lexus wasn't really into the whole manual gearbox thing back then. They only had it in the SC at the time in 1998. That was the only car they offered with a manual. So, and even in the SC, it was only in the inline-6 version. The V8 car was auto only. So I don't know that they had a gearbox that would have even went onto this. Anyway, getting back to this car in particular, it looks just about the same as it did when I bought it 2 years ago. The only things I've noticed is that the headlights have sort of progressively gotten foggier the more that this thing has sat outside. And there are a couple little chips in the paint where you can see the silver showing through of the original color of this hood, a couple little chips right there. And then this little rust bubble on the fender has gotten a little bit worse as well. But otherwise, it looks exactly the same. The wheels are still nice and chrome. The tires have great tread on them. The interior still smells like a 27-year-old Lexus. Driver's seat is just about as ripped as it was when I bought the car, so that's pretty unchanged as well. But anyway, why don't we jump in and we'll talk about it some more, whilst engulfed by the V8 noises. Doors feel so nice. I mean, the quality of this car overall, this was just such a good era. I know I say that a lot, but I'm partial to this because the car's the same age as me. So the things you touch, shut things in this, it feels so nice. Okay, so we're gonna insert the key. This has a comfort access steering column, which is the stupidest thing in the entire world, because when it brakes, not if it brakes, when it brakes, because they all do, it means that you have to drive this like it's a Volkswagen bus, which I will demonstrate. So this is now fired up, and the steering wheel is in its highest position, and sometimes, if the weather's just right, the steering wheel will come down to a usable position for you to be able to drive this like a normal car. And it may even do it on our little drive today, but at this moment we're driving this like an bus, so forgive it for that. And apparently there's a way you can fix this. I haven't done it yet. And I left the windows down on purpose so I could give you guys some revs. Oh. Listen to that echo. Holy crap. I think we're bouncing it off that fence back there. This is one of the best sounding V8s ever, but especially out of Japan. I mean, Lexus Toyota, chef's kiss with this 1UZ. Armrest, that's been reupholstered obviously because all of these disintegrate over time, but the previous owner actually put this very nice new armrest on this before I owned it. And they also peeled off the airbag warning stickers from the visors, so those are now very plain and boring looking, I suppose. Rear view mirror, that is auto dimming. Love to see that. And we have a cassette player, as you guys know, one of my favorite parts about this, the Nakamichi 7-speaker sound system, which we've done tests on before. We might do another one today because I do have my little cassette to aux adapter, so we'll see how we're feeling, but it might be cool to do the new sound system test song in here and see if it works. We have shift buttons on the steering wheel. We'll show you how those work today as well if you're unfamiliar. That's another thing. Driver's window motor makes a little bit of noise, but you know what? It always works, so we can't be too mad at it. The wood trim and leather overall in here has seemed to hold up pretty well, and obviously it hasn't gotten any worse for wear during my ownership, but yeah, whatever. And my autopilot always has me put the cars in reverse before I set off, usually to show reversing cameras on new cars, but I suppose just to prove that reverse works on older cars. So there you go. You can see reverse works in the GS 400. And we are just secluded from everything. It's so quiet in here. Hello, Shannon. It's our maintenance guy. Okay, now before I said hello to Shannon, you may have heard the little bit of noise from the brake pedal. Now that is a very common thing with these second-gen GSs, and that is the ABS pump. You know, oh, there you go. A little bit of a buzz from it there. Now, it's actually done this since I bought the car. It's literally does this, I don't know, 1 out of every 5 times you stop, you hear the ABS pump. And it's something that it's not hard to fix. It's just a little bit of an expensive part. So I was waiting for it to completely fail before I replaced it. But if you were going to buy this car, I would say that's probably the one thing that I would recommend you take care of. Otherwise, this car needs nothing. It's ready to go, this one. And it's just so silky. I think silky is the word I would use to describe this car in just about every way. One of the things that surprised me the most when I bought this was how heavy some of the controls were, like the steering. It doesn't just have a vague lightness to it. You can actually kind of feel what's going on with this. And the engine is so quiet. Even with this aftermarket exhaust, I mean, you really don't hear much. Excuse me while for the entire video I try to get this steering wheel to go down, but it's okay if it doesn't. I think the first video I filmed on this car, the steering wheel was all the way up like this too, and I just kind of coped. But my favorite part, and my favorite thing I ever did to this car was that exhaust. It's made the ownership just that much more fun because it means you can put it over into manual mode. You can drop a couple gears. You've got the display right here. Pretty early rendition of what we'd see now as a paddle shifter. We'll run it out in a second. And it has the LC500 style rev limiter. I should say the LC500 has the GS400 style rev limiter because this came first. Toyota's been making cool rev limiters since I've been alive, since I've existed. It does feel mildly abusive when you downshift the car because it doesn't rev match. So, not something I'd recommend really doing all the time, but it's fun every now and then to bump it over into manual. You guys saw I put it into ECT power mode to sharpen up the gearbox a bit. Okay, anyway, let's put this, well, we'll leave it in ECT power because I like driving it in that mode anyway. But a main point I want to hit in this video is that you shouldn't be scared to buy an old car like this. Yes, it's 27, is it? God, 28 years old now. I'll be 28 this year too. Yes, it's 28 years old, but there's something special about daily driving something that's a bit old, that has a bit of character, that you're able to kind of bond with and have some adventure with. And also not one that's going to be in a cloud of smoke all the time. Sorry, BMW, but I can't imagine a 540i would have held up in the same way that this car did with now 122,000 miles. I bought this with 116 between myself and my good friend Stu. Both of us have been driving this. We've put 6,000 miles on the car total in 2 years. So I know that's less than average, but this car has still been on a pretty regular basis driven. I mean, a few times a week it's taken out, it's driven, it's put through its paces. Stu has allegedly gotten this up to 137 miles an hour when he took a trip to Mexico. I've never done that, but he told me that it was serene. So we'll take his word for that. We're not going to try that, especially on a Blizzak, but it goes to show Bridgestone and Lexus make some products that are able to hold up to some abuse. Hear that ABS pump again. And the 5-speed automatic, it's a little bit lazy, sure, but automatic gearboxes were built different back in the 90s. They weren't really built to go quickly. They were just built to make you comfortable. And, well, this one makes me nice and cozy. I'm going to put the vent on because it is quite hot in here. Climate control panel, very easy to use, obviously. Way before we had complicated climate control. You just get the sense that this car is not even close to being finished yet. It just enjoys living. It likes being alive. In fact, I'm often convinced that a lot of these like 90s and mid-2000s Toyota products are going to outlive all of us. I think our children and grandchildren will be driving these. But I remember just going out and being so surprised at how kind of sporting and how motivated this car was to actually to actually be hustled a little bit. I mean, this could be driven by the laid-back businessman, or this could be driven by the businessman that has his second cup of coffee in the car in the morning. Or espresso shots, perhaps, and it just wants to go and maybe he's running a little bit late. This tailors to just about anybody. Go little Outlander Sport, go. ECT power really does sharpen this thing up a bit. I'm going to put it back into normal mode for our little highway section. Okay, we're actually going to put this back into ECT power. And why don't we get it off the line? We'll turn VSC off too. There you go. And there you go, highway speeds. It's genuinely quick, this car, and not only by 1998 standards, by 2026 standards. You could beat many things in this. I think most things from a light that you're just driving next to any sort of standard SUV. This did 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. Back in 98, 6 seconds. I mean, at a time, I read all the lore about this. Oh, I think the steering wheel moved down slightly. Maybe not, I think I'm dreaming. I read the lore about this being the fastest sedan in the world when it came out in 1998. And I don't know what they mean by that. I don't know if they mean like top speed or if they mean acceleration. I guess they would have said quickest sedan if they meant acceleration. But I mean, 0 to 60 in 6 seconds is nothing to scoff at. That's for sure. Geez, do I want to sell this? Let's talk about why I want to sell it, because many of you are probably confused considering how much I just beam whenever I drive this car. And the reason I want to sell this kind of comes down to the nature of the job. I've done at this point now 5 videos on this car. It's been on Winding Road Magazine, it's been on the Topher, it's even been on Tedward. Tedward did a really great video on this where he talked about how his favorite movie growing up featured a GS, and it was really special for him to be able to experience this car. But it gets to a point where there's only like so much content I can make on a car, and we're kind of at the end of the road here, because now you could argue that yes, I could continue modifying this and just doing more and more to it, but I don't think this is the car to continue to modify. It's a bit rusty underneath, and I don't think I want to sink any more money into it. I think I'm already going to take a little bit of a loss on this car, and I don't really need to be losing any more. So it's a bit of a combination of the fact that I just want to try something else, maybe an LS400 of similar vintage, maybe a second gen IS, something. I do think I want to replace this with another Lexus, just to kind of continue my brand of vehicles. And I've done everything I need to do with this car. I've had it 2.5 years, put 6,000 miles on it, and I've had my fun. And in a way, I kind of hate how good it's been, because it gives me no real reason that any real person would have to sell it. If you were a normal person, you would not sell this car. You would keep this until it rusted in half, and you'd be happy about it. But my situation, of course, is just a little bit unique, and I just think it's time for something else. Not to mention, I have like 7 other cars right now. It's just a completely ridiculous situation where I need to thin the herd. I need to get rid of some of these cars that aren't driven daily, and this one, unfortunately, is just one that has to go, along with my 99 BMW M Roadster that you guys know, and my 86 Mercedes 420 SEL. That was the first car I ever featured on Topher Drives. So there will be some really special cars here coming up for sale soon. And again, like I said, you guys will all have first dibs at these. It's just such a low-strung powertrain. I mean, you never feel like you're stressing this car out ever. It just says, "All right, sir, at your service." And then it delivers its input on a silver platter. I don't think we've done this route in this car ever. It's a good send-off for it, I think, doing this just biblically accurate Topher Drives drive route in the GS 400. By the end of this, I think maybe the steering wheel will even go down into its proper position. But the problem with it is when you have the glorious euphoric moment where the steering wheel goes down where it should be, and then you turn the car off and it goes back into the position of comfort access, and then you start the car back up and it's right back in this position, it doesn't go down again. So it's very sort of short and brief wins with the power steering column in this car. I'm the one to complain about expensive cars not having power adjust steering columns in modern times, but you know what? I might take it all back, because when you buy one in the future, it's just one more thing to break, and this is proof of that. This is a Lexus. Nothing breaks on this, but the power adjust steering column did. So there you go. This has the best cruise control in the world. It's just the easiest thing ever to use, this little thing that sticks off the side of the wheel. The Topher and I agree that this is S tier when it comes to cruise control systems, and everything should just be like this. I love it so much, and it works, as you can see. Of course it does. This doesn't. Someone might want to tally how many times I've tried to move the steering wheel down in this video. This has been a lovely car, and I really just don't have anything bad to say about it, other than that the power adjust steering column is stupid. But it's just been such a trooper otherwise. It's gotten through 3 winters now at this point. If you count the first one, it was kind of a half of a winter. So it's gotten through like 2.5 winters. Never got stuck. Got lots of fun sideways action. That's the other thing, is that these cars are just fun to drive. I mean, sure, you could spend $7,500 on like a 2012 Honda CR-V or like a used Subaru Crosstrek or something, and yes, that would be quite practical for you. But it wouldn't be as fun and as charming as a second-gen Lexus GS, and that's why I will, for the rest of my life, recommend this car. Ride test also right here. This is basically like a meteor crashed into this right here. Even my GS 300 that I owned in college was lovely. I had a couple weird issues with that car though. The differential went bad. I think that was the main one. I had to put a diff in it, and then at the end the check engine light was on just constantly for the catalytic converters. But I'll tell you what, that car, it never left me stranded. I owned that one for, I think, just over a year. I had that car, and I actually daily drove that. I put like 7,000 or 8,000 miles on it, and it was fine. It started every day, always did the thing. Similar to what this GS has done. My goodness, that poor Camry has seen some things. I'm gonna get this pulled over here and we'll back it into a spot. See if this guy that only ever parks cars with reverse cameras can get into a spot reverse wise. I think the answer is yes. I think we're in this spot just fine. Into park, and we'll shut it down. You'll see what I'm on about the steering wheel. That will now rescend into the dashboard. So even if we would have gotten the wheel to go down, it would have just reset itself right there. Oh, actually, something I didn't mention. Parking brake doesn't work in this car. I've never looked into it. It's an automatic, so it's really not that big of a deal. I suppose if you're parking in a steep place all the time, it may be something that you'd want to look into as well for this. All right, I'm gonna run in and get food because I'm starving, and then we will discuss some more, and we'll wrap this one up, and we'll say goodbye to the GS 400. Walking back up to my GS 400 with this gorgeous Pokeball. I'm excited to eat this. I forgot to mention one of the other flaws with this car, and I think this kind of plagues the second-gen GS in general. It's not this car, because my other one was the same way, and it's that the power locks are a little bit wonky. So yes, you have a key fob that sounds like it works, and oh, okay, sometimes it does. Sometimes it does work, but other times you do have to stick the key in and manually unlock the car. And usually, I suppose it's more so when you lock it. I usually go through and I manually lock every door just to be safe. So, and actually you can reach all 4 from inside the car. So it's not like it's a huge hassle. I mean, you can hit that one, boom, hit that one, reach back, hit that one. I mean, it takes a couple extra seconds, and obviously it's something to get used to, but it's just kind of one of those other little quirks that you have to live with when you have a 20-something-year-old car. So it just kind of is what it is. Okay, I realized I didn't do the sound system test on the Nakamichi with the new song, so I'm actually going to eat this real quick, and then I'll throw the camera back on, and we'll wrap it up once I am headed back home. About inserting a cassette into a cassette player. Anyway, let's wrap this one up. Get this back on the highway, and we'll show you what this Nakamichi can do. You guys have to let me know if you're gonna miss this car, because I'm gonna miss it. Oh, I don't know that No, I need to sell it. Stop saying you're not gonna sell it. This is what happens every time. I tell myself I'm gonna sell a car, then I go drive it in a spirited fashion, and then I exit the car thinking I'm never selling that. It happens every single time, which is why I never sell anything. I love cars too much, man. I'm just like, I get attached to them, and they're so good in their own way, and I like having a variety, but no. I need to be logical. I'm getting married this year. Some of this stuff needs to go. So, seriously, if you guys want this car, email me, topherdrives@gmail.com, or DM me on Instagram @topher.brower. Man, I'll miss it. Ooh, we have an open entrance ramp. Okay, Blizzax. Okay, well, I don't know if that was the best line through there. Blizzax complained a little bit. I know the second I stop recording on the camera, the steering wheel is going to come down. There's the Nakamichi. How about that? A cassette to aux adapter that still works, and a 7-speaker sound system that sounds pretty decent. You know, it doesn't sound insanely good. And actually, it's not quite as good as the facelifted cars, which I think got an extra speaker or maybe 2 extra speakers, because I had 2 deck speakers on my 300. This has only got 1 on the deck back there, the subwoofer. So they improved the sound system a little bit for the facelift, which was 2001, I want to say. That's when this changed to the GS 430. The 400 was only the pre-facelift cars. How can we not play the sound of our people? Alright guys, well I think that's just about going to do it for us here on the 98 GS 400. It's been a lovely 2.5 years with this car. I think I've gone through all of my thoughts, all of my impressions over the last couple of years owning this. I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I bought this car. I'm so glad I was able to share it with you guys and we could share our appreciation of this car together. And I suppose the coolest part of all this is now one of you get the chance to own it if you want. Let me know. You guys know how to contact me, and I may actually shoot one more video called I'm Selling 3 Cars, which will be this, the M Roadster, and the 420. So we'll just do kind of a first come, first serve basis on this. You know, whoever hits me up first will get first dibs on it. But I may need to keep it around for just a couple more weeks to get that video filmed, just to do like an overall wrap up of kind of an era of the channel coming to a close with these 3 cars that have been pretty influential for me. So that's it. We're going to wrap this one while we're still on the highway and what's the beginning of rush hour, which is why we're going 70 in the left lane. Though there is a left exit up here, which we're going to be taking. But that is going to do it for us today. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I appreciate it so much. I appreciate all that you have done for me, supporting the videos, all the stuff, making it possible for me to buy cars like this and be able to do my videos on them and then move on to the next one. It's seriously a dream come true, and of course not possible at all without you guys. So thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Seriously, you guys make my life something I thought it would never be. So that's that. That's the GS 400, and we'll see you in the next one, guys. Take care.